What's up, guys? Ryan here from Mud Gunner. Today I'm joined with my buddy Mason, and we are talking gas masks.
And I am not going to wear my glasses because the reflection messes up
Every time I edit,
film.
I was like, oh, Mason, your glasses are very bright. But I also try to like orient the light.
Luckily, I don't need them to survive.
So yeah, Mason is going to talk to you guys about gas masks because I don't know anything about gas masks. That's something I'm lacking in. Take it away.
Hopefully, we all come away from this with more knowledge and awareness. I just had this idea because there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now, of course, in North Carolina and in Georgia. In Georgia, there was a chlorine plant that had an accident, actually, and so it was spewing like chlorine gas into the atmosphere, and everything had to be shut down. And so in that situation, obviously something like this would be very useful for people that live in that area for the next who knows how long before it finally dissipates. You know,
what would that gas do to people in the surrounding areas?
Chlorine, well, it depends on the dosage that you're dealing with. I am not a CBRN person in the military. I just have done the basic level of training that we do with it, and then it's kind of a hobby to have gas masks and stuff. So
yeah,
but
they're cool.
Chlorine gas is obviously very bad for you. They used it in World War I to kill people and stuff. So if you inhale it in the right amounts, you can die. Chlorine is not good. Chlorine is very useful though for another topic we'll talk about tonight, like water purification, and pool cleaning, of course, absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, so I just want to do a fairly quick breakdown. I'm going to try and not to make this another 20-minute video. We'll see. So I guess just to kind of jump into it, the big reason I kind of thought about this, other than, of course, the Georgia incidents, are that a lot of people that are kind of in like the prepping circles and stuff, they have the misconception that having a gas mask means that they're safe in some kind of chemical or biological accident that happens, or attack, heaven forbid. But and unfortunately, that's not really the reality. The masks only protect you from inhaling gases. Unfortunately, a lot of the gases, especially weaponized gases that you'll see now, don't require you to breathe it in to kill you.
Okay.
It only has to make contact with your skin, and it can kill you. Obviously, the masks are a hugely important part of that because breathing this stuff in will kill you a lot faster. And there are some chemical agents that not breathing in it will stop it. You know, you won't die from it as long as you don't breathe it in and you have the right filters for it.
Okay.
But other things like sarin gas and stuff like that and mustard gas just have to contact your skin.
Okay.
And then mustard gas is a blistering agent, of course, so it'll basically make you like break out insane blisters and you go blind if you get in your eyes and stuff like that. So.
What do you think would be a common gas like potential issue that people might deal with? Here in Arizona, I know we had a gas spill down like in Tucson, right?
Yeah, it was like between Tucson and Phoenix on the I-10. It was like a truck rolled over that was carrying, I wouldn't even pretend to remember what it is, but it was a very dangerous gas, and so they had to block off the whole freeway until the cloud dissipated, and then people were allowed to continue on their way. But also, like the driver of that vehicle was pretty severely injured, if I remember correctly. And so even just having one of these in your car, even just a lower end one that's not very expensive, could still be a good idea, especially like having them in your home. For example, like the people that are in the vicinity of that plant in Georgia, you know, it'd be a good idea to have something like this. So I would definitely encourage you to like look up in your area if there are big places like that, like gas manufacturing facilities and stuff local to you, because if there are, and you're close enough to them, you should probably have this. Distance isn't necessarily protection against them either, because the wind can carry particulate chemicals for a very long distance. It just depends on, of course, the type of chemical that we're talking about.
And does it have to be visible gas, or it can be invisible gas too?
Yeah, no, you don't have to see it.
That's
just like World War I movies and stuff where you see the cloud coming through you. That would be like mustard gas. Tear gas, of course, you can see tear gas, but not always. You can't always see tear gas. It's a gas, right? So you can't always see them. But you see the big cloud.
What about spores that turn you into zombies like Last of Us?
Yeah, we don't want to be like Last of Us, right? So this would, I think, pretty sure, I didn't see the whole show, just the first couple episodes.
I watched the show, but I played the game for one day. I borrowed it from a friend, or I played at their house, and I really want to play it.
They have gas masks in it.
Just so I can play the game.
So this would, I think, I'm going to go out on a limb here, since it's a made-up thing anyway, I can say I'm an expert on it, and say that this would stop that, so you wouldn't get turned into a mushroom spore person. Nice. They will block spores and stuff like that, though, absolutely. But that leads into the next kind of thing, which is like, it depends on the type of filter that you have, right? So I have two different types of filters here. This one I just brought so you guys could see, like, this is typically how they come packaged. They're vacuum sealed or sealed in some kind of protective coating. You can take it out of this coating and it's still gonna be good as long as the top and bottom, or the intake and outtake of the filter, are covered. Like this is still a new one. It's got the plastic protectors on it. So as long as these covers don't come undone, it's theoretically still good. Now they do have an expiration date. Like this one, you can see
2018.
Yeah, 2018. It's probably still fine. Right?
Yeah.
Expiration dates.
It's better than the alternative, right?
Yes. These are cheap too. These are like I don't know, 10 to 15 bucks per filter, right? But I mentioned that there's different types, right? So the two I have here, you see how thick they are, right? They're pretty big. That's because these are legitimate NBC filters, or nuclear, biological, and chemical filters. So these will stop all those very dangerous gases like sarin gas, radiation, and stuff like that as well. These will filter it out. Not all the filters that you can buy commercially will do that. So surplus military filters are good. Additionally, they're all going to use a NATO thread. So just about any gas mask that's manufactured in a NATO country from like the late 70s and up to now will accept these filters.
Okay.
Even some like ComBlock ones, after they transitioned from being communist, they sort of got with NATO standards and stuff. So this is a really common filter thread that you'll find.
Another thing I thought about, what about like fires? Like, because Arizona, you have wildland fires and there's obviously a lot of smoke.
Yeah, absolutely. Smoke inhalation is a big deal for sure. Now, obviously, like firefighters and stuff have different masks. I actually have one of those masks here, but I didn't put it on the table, so maybe we can pause at some point and I'll grab it and show you guys. But firefighters are obviously going to wear different ones, and of course, firefighters have to run O2. So they're not just running like a filter on their mask.
They have
oxygen.
Yeah.
Yep, that goes to it because it's got to be a closed system. So there's a time limit on that too, and there's a time limit with these. They are only rated to last a certain amount of time exposed to certain chemicals. But again, using just my surface level knowledge, the amount of time you get out of a filter depends on the chemicals that you're exposed to.
Okay.
So this versus like tear gas, which is not a lethal gas, unless there's some kind of crazy allergic reaction or something happens to it, long time, like 24 hours, something like that.
Okay.
Right? This in like a versus sarin gas, like 3 hours.
Okay.
Before you have to replace it. And of course, if the filter screws into the mask, then how do you replace it? The answer is that you literally hold your breath, unscrew the filter you have on there, pop the seal and screw the new filter in while you're in an active gas environment, and then you have to exhale everything you have in your lungs to push the particulates that got in this area out before you start breathing again. It sucks because you have to like literally take a giant deep breath and then pop it out, screw it back in, and then blow out.
I can hold my breath
everything.
so when I start, it's like a minute, but then if I do it like 3 or 4 times in a row, I get it 2 minutes plus.
Longer.
Just underwater though, not swimming, just sitting underwater.
The problem with gas situations is you only get one. There's only one chance, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, just keep in mind, having these things, even with the cool filters, you still have to swap the filters out if they're exposed to chemical environments. Now like me, I keep one of these with a filter that's not sealed, like on it in my car, and that's really only for like tear gas and stuff like that. I have another one that's sealed that with the understanding that like, if it was a real gas attack or some crazy dangerous chemical like what happened on the I-10, I'd have to swap it to the NBC filter that's not been opened yet.
Got it.
Right, just to be safe. So normally you'll want to have like 2 filters, one on the mask ready to go, and then an extra spare one or something. And that's the nice thing, which we can just get into this, is like the bags. This is a military issued gas mask bag. The mask inside is not anymore a military issued gas mask, if you catch my drift, but this bag is how they come from the military. You literally just strap it onto your side. So, of course, you want to be left, whether you're left or right-handed, you can make adjustments for that.
Now, at what point do they get issued the gas mask? If potential gas threats, but they don't carry this 24/7, right?
That depends on where you go.
Okay.
When I did the one cool thing, the one time, a long time ago, I went to a place where there was almost 0 chance of chemical weapons attacks. We still got issued these, and we carried them all the way up until we got into that country. And then as soon as we got to that country, they were put in a Connex box, and we never saw them until we left that country again. So, yes. Now, dudes in like Syria and stuff like that, they probably have to have these at least in their vehicles.
Okay.
And that kind of goes into the next thing, which is like the military. Oh man, I really should have Googled this before we started watching this, but the way we break down the various levels of protection, we use something called MOPP. It's an acronym, military something protective posture, operational protective posture. Yeah, it's like MOPP, but there's different levels of MOPP, right? All the way from, I believe, like 0 to 4 or 5. If you're a Seaburn person, please put that in the comments because I don't remember.
I love all these acronyms as a civilian because it's so hard to remember.
Seaburn, you will hear, that's chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear. That just refers to like chemical weapons attacks or nuclear attacks and stuff like that.
Say it
right?
one more time, it's slower.
Yeah, sorry, Seaburn. Chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear, CBRN.
My head says we are Fs, so.
And in the military, that's a whole job. Just to be a Seaburn person, there's really a job for that. It's actually a pretty cool job. Not a lot of people know about it, but it's neat. They know a lot about how quickly people die from gas. It's kind of crazy, and they just don't care about it. They actually have to be exposed, or at least there's a rumor I heard. I'm not a Seaburn person, but the rumor that I have heard from one of them was that when they go to graduate Seaburn school, they have to go into an active, deadly chemical environment once with all of the stuff on, everything completely sealed up, to prove that they know how to do it. They know how to do their job and they seal it properly, and then they have to be decontaminated. Because something people don't consider as well is like, if you go into an environment where you are exposed to this stuff, you don't just get to leave the environment and take your mask off. That's not how it works, right? Because the particulates can still be on your clothing, and they can still potentially be on your skin, which would obviously not be ideal, but so you have to decontaminate yourself. There's special wipes that we get issued in the military that come in this bag, and it's just a decontamination wipe. It's like a giant wipe with a chemical on it that you have to wipe your face and hands and ankles and wrists off before you can take your stuff off.
I think of the 28 weeks later where they're hosing her down.
Yeah, that's the legit process, right? So these CBRN people I mentioned in the military, they have vehicles that they operate from, and it can be Humvees, or I've seen them use Strykers. I did an operation where they're using Strykers, which are just armored vehicles. Very cool, but they're built for this, right? So the Stryker has like a decontamination thing built into it that they can set up in the field, and there are stages you have to go through, where first is like they hose you down with water, then they hose you down with chemicals, then they scrub you, then you walk through a mister to clean everything else off, and then you can take your stuff off, right? So it's a very drawn out, prolonged process to do this stuff.
This comes down to what natural disaster, what disaster you want to deal with the most. Chemicals, not on the top of the list.
Yeah, I really hope that's not the disaster, because that stuff sucks, right? And these aren't just things you can make. Back in the day, like in World War I, when they first started using chemical weapons in a large scale in warfare, the only really option that people had before masks were being issued to soldiers was to pee on a rag and put the rag over their face, because the ammonia in your urine does actually help reduce the effects that these chemicals would have on you. But then, of course, you're wearing a rag covered in your own pee on your face, right? So not ideal. And you have to pee on it every hour or so to keep it damp and moist, right? Not great. And it is not like 100% foolproof. It's just better than nothing. And now, of course, we don't do that anymore. We have purpose-built tools and stuff for it, right? This particular mask is an FM53. It's made by Avon, who has the current contract for U.S. military gas masks. We currently use a gas mask called the M50, which looks very similar to this. It just uses a proprietary filter that's not a NATO filter. This is a special version of that mask that's intended for like special operations forces. So you actually plug a hose into this that goes into like a backpack unit for much more prolonged periods of time. But the neat thing about it is if you don't have any of that cool multiple $1,000 special forces stuff, you can just screw a NATO filter into it, so it's kind of nice.
That's cool. And what does a mask like that run?
That's really hard to say. The FM53s from Avon are, like I said, kind of a special forces thing.
So thousands of dollars?
In like probably about the $2,000 range or so for like a kit. Obviously, this is like an older one.
I always look at like the Mira safety ads online. They always pop up.
Yeah, and I have something equivalent to Mira. This is an MSA, so it's a little bit. Mira's like here, Avon's like here, MSA's like here, and then like crappy Soviet masks or the Israeli civilian masks are down here. So Mira, MSA, and Avon are like your really awesome companies that make masks.
As someone that knows nothing about this, me as a civilian seeing the Mira stuff, they seem like the main ones advertising to civilians. Are they a good one?
There's my gloves.
For civilians?
Yeah, Mira are great, yeah. Avon actually just within this year started selling their masks to civilians. So now you can go on Avon's website and buy them, and you didn't used to be able to do that. They only sold them to the government. But whoever in the company was like, hey, we should probably sell these to anybody that wants them, as long as they're not bad people. So, which is great. I love to see companies do that. Right?
Yeah,
it's good stuff. So, taking this mask out, just so you guys can see here again, there's a U.S. military filter in the actual packaging. So you have to like break a seal on this thing to pop this bad boy out. But this mask has the filter already on it. So you see, you can usually adjust the side you want them on, right? So left or right. If you're a right-handed shooter, obviously this is really relevant in the military. Maybe not so much as a preparedness thing, but you can change the side of the mask, so a right-handed shooter would want a filter on the left side, otherwise you're not gonna be able to put a stock on your shoulder. It sucks shooting in a mask anyway. This is actually...
I also see those stocks that kind of go down under the mask. What are those called again?
Oh, I don't know.
Kate Moss
I think
stock?
I've seen some. Kate Moss, like that celebrity?
Dude, I don't know. I think I see them on the MCXs. Some of you guys know what I'm talking about.
One cool thing about it that a lot of people may not necessarily know where it came from. All those really cool super elevated red dot sights that everyone's using now because they're neat, they were actually intended for shooting with gas masks on and under night vision.
Wow. Gas masks with night vision or just night vision?
Yes, to all of those above. No, night vision in a gas mask, oh my God, that's going to be a nightmare, right? I don't think I've ever done that before. I've worn these for pretty long periods of time, not days, but we're talking maybe like 4 or 5 hours at a time. I think the longest was like 6 hours in one of these things with a full thing on, which we're going to get to, which was really, really terrible. But I don't know about under knots. Now, special people obviously have been doing it and can do it. I was a regular dude, so I didn't have an opportunity to do that before.
Movie-wise, because I watch a lot of gun movies, I think of the movie 6 Days about the Iranian embassy attack in the 80s in, was it England?
London.
And they were running MP5s with gas masks, and they had a light on top of the MP5 instead of an optic. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, probably just because at that point you're not going to be able to see through iron sights.
Yeah,
so that's one thing that sucks. Like in the military, obviously we had different optic things are used for different purposes, and so like I said, the really high up sights were actually intended for shooting under gas masks.
Well, as a civilian, I hope you guys don't have to put a gas mask on and shoot.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, that would be really bad.
This is actually an older Air Force mask. The Army masks, the old oh man, my Kenneth's gonna kill me because he just did a gas mask video. He hasn't released it on his YouTube channel. He doesn't have yet, but he made the video. But he breaks down like all of these different gas masks. God, what is it? The M40 is the one that I used, which is like the last generation one. The M40 had 2 eyepieces instead of one solid dome. The Air Force ones, though, this is still an M40, but it's the Air Force model, and the Air Force ones have a giant visor. I like this a lot. You have a lot better field of vision with this. The disadvantage is it is harder to put like prescription inserts on the inside. Because as you guys saw, I had to take my glasses off for glare. If you have to use glasses to shoot, you still got to wear them underneath this, but you can't wear glasses that have the thing over your ear because then you won't get a proper seal. Which is also why you see the military has this super crazy fetish for not letting people share, or not letting people have beards. Their justification for that is always, oh, well, if you put a gas mask on with a beard, you can't get a proper seal. You can. It really just depends on the person and the type of facial hair that you have. But I mean, in a perfect world, no. I mean, you have to have like a clean shaven face in order to get a good seal on these things. But I've seen dudes get good seals that have facial hair still, so it just depends. But you have to put like special inserts in here to hold your prescriptions and stuff like that, which kind of sucks. You can see like in the bag I had it set up a certain way. You actually stage the masks with the straps in the front like this so that once you grab it out of the bag, and you even plan it to the point where it's like, cool, I wear this on my left hip, I'd be grabbing it with my right hand, so I put the mask in this way so that when I pull it out, it's like this, and then I just put it on my face, grab the straps, and then I'm ready to go.
Nice.
That's how you check for a seal. You just put your hand over it, breathe in, and if it seals to your face, you don't hear any air coming in or out, you got a good seal on your gas mask.
Got it. I don't know if they heard what you said while you were talking in there, but I heard what you said.
There's like a special machine we have in the military that they like plug the mask into, and you wear it for like 5 minutes, and it beeps and tells you have a good seal. All you got to do is cover the filter and breathe in, and if it closes on your face and air doesn't come in, you got a good seal. At my level. Also inside this bag, I keep a pair of gloves, which I'll just kind of go over real fast with that. I realize I'm starting to take more time. Like I said, I wouldn't.
No, you're
and
fine.
Then this is a hood, and that is a glass cleaning lens. But this is actually a Seaburn hood. It's a rubberized, almost like a rain jacket, but it connects to this mask with this weird looking like German dungeon kind of BDSM thing or whatever. It connects to the mask. And
Awaken the gimp.
Yeah, pretty much, right? And then you wear the hood over your face, and that protects like your skin and neck and stuff from being exposed to chemicals. So that's just in the bag. And that's kind of
28 weeks later when they're lighting everyone on fire after the gas.
But you pretty much, yeah. Yep. That's another way to clean gas, actually. Not very good for the people, but
Yeah.
you know, good for that. And also, like I said, there'd be a decontamination wipe in here. I don't have them because they go bad, and it's kind of hard to just buy them. I think now you probably can from Avon and Mira and stuff like that, but I need to do that and update myself.
If you don't have that wipe, can you take a shower, like just a normal shower or anything special?
Yeah, you just want it to be really, really hot.
Got it.
Hot water.
Girls,
right?
you'll be fine.
And not your, because they burn their skin off when they shower.
Yeah.
But no exposed skin, right? So when you take the shower, unless if you had exposed skin and all you put was a gas mask on and got covered in chemicals, then yes, hot shower is the best you're going to be able to do. If you are sealed up in the suit that we're about to talk about now, you want to shower and wash everything off before you even think about taking off the suit or opening the suit, right?
Is that like Skunk's tomato paste?
Yeah, sort of, pretty much, right? This is just another type of mask. This one's more of a law enforcement type mask, but you can see same thing. It's an MSA. It's got the giant open visor on the front. These things are really great. I actually have a couple of these, one for my wife and one for myself.
Nice. See, this is why I like having Mason on. He has not just one gas mask, multiple gas masks to talk to you guys about. Not just one flashbang.
You got options, right?
Multiple flashbangs.
It's important to have options.
Go watch all my other videos with Mason because we've talked about a lot of topics now. And he's got so much of everything.
Just a surface level knowledge on a lot of different stuff. Right? I've lived a very interesting life.
Jack of all trades.
Oh yeah, so now just the suits, to not make this too long. So another thing that a lot of people don't consider in chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear attacks, just to cut down the acronyms, is, like I said, the skin exposure, right? So if you're really going to go into an environment that you know is compromised by one of those 4 things that I listed, or like specifically nuclear obviously would be a big deal, or if you like walk into a place and you see a persistent gas and you see bodies on the ground, that'd be a big indicator that like, hey, this is a deadly type of gas. I shouldn't go there anyway, but if I have to, this is a deadly type of gas. And so to really survive in a CBRN situation, you can't just wear a mask, right? That will help you against, like CS gas or whatever.
Yeah.
The CS gas,
better,
riot agents and stuff. Yeah. You'll be able to breathe just fine. You won't even feel it. But to really be protected, you have to put on these MOPP suits, we call them. This is a size medium regular coat, and these are trousers, chemical. Medium regular, well, I got the right size. Now you'll notice I have mine in this plastic still, but otherwise they're also in vacuum sealed in plastic. You can see how thin they are. You can buy these for super cheap at surplus stores and on the internet. Just make sure that if you buy them, you're buying sealed ones, because they are actually, it's a fabric suit. It's usually you'll find them in like woodland camouflage, the old BDU camouflage, just because we made so many of them. You can find them in 3-color desert camouflage too for Desert Storm. Cool. We just made probably millions of these suits, and they just stay sealed in these packages. They just started having them in ACU when I was getting out. Fortunately, I didn't have to wear the ACU ones, and then now I'm sure they have them in multicam. Nice. But you open the package, the first package, and then you open the second package, and they're vacuum sealed, so there'll be a little hiss.
So you need both of them, right?
Tops and bottoms, yeah. Okay. So the fabric itself is like a Cordura fabric, like most regular clothes that you'd see, or a cotton ripstop fabric, but there's 2 layers of this fabric, and in the center of the fabric, it's impregnated with charcoal.
Okay.
Because charcoal will block those chemical things from getting into you.
Charcoal's just good in a lot of ways, huh?
Yes, absolutely. And we'll talk about that in the next video we're going to do too, because it's really good for that. But yeah, so the suits are actually impregnated with charcoal, probably activated charcoal, I would imagine, which is different than regular charcoal. And that keeps your skin safe, essentially, from a lot of these chemicals and stuff, right? But they have a shelf life just like the filters that we talked about do, right? So once you open a suit, put it on, and go into an environment, you get about 24 hours before you need to get, well, it might be more with the suits, don't quote me on that, right? But you get a day or 2, maybe a little more, depending on the chemical and all that stuff, before you got to get a new one, right? So if you're going to invade a country, for example, where you know the bad guy's using chemical weapons, you can't just give your guys one set of these. You got to think how long the attack's going to take, how long it can be before they can get resupplied, and everyone's got to carry 1 or 2 of these, wearing one of them with a spare, and then another truck back in your convoy that has like 5,000 more sets of these ready to give out to people. Size for everybody.
If you guys look at the gear loadout video that I did with Mason,
that didn't even have all this stuff in it.
There's so much gear.
Yeah. And you have to tailor it to your situation, because there's no way that you can carry everything that you would possibly need.
Unless it was Skyrim.
In Skyrim you can.
That's the only game that I can relate to. I played it in high school, and you could have so much stuff, but the second you went over like 999, you move like an inch.
Well, the key is to forge all your like amulets and stuff, and then enchant them with weight carrying assistance, which is what I've been playing it recently.
What's the real life version?
Again, right? I wish they're steroids. I think probably is as close as it gets, right? So I mean, that's pretty much it. Now, the part they didn't tell me in basic training, and I didn't experience until I was on a very extended training exercise where we had to do this. That was that time I mentioned I had to be in this for like 8 hours. Was we were given a mission in training, understand of course, to like go investigate this chemical site that was a potentially contaminated area. So we had to dismount before we got to the site, and we had to get fully kitted out in all this stuff with the masks on, with these giant rubber gloves, which go up to like your elbows, which you also have to wear light fabric gloves underneath those gloves, and then put the rubber gloves on over them. And then you have to put these rubber over boots on over your regular boots, right? So these need to be, like if you wear size 10 feet or whatever, you wouldn't want size 10 boots, you'd want like size 12 boots, right?
I thought they'd be thicker, so at least they're thin.
No, but for thick rubber though, like that, you're not gonna be able to rip that very easily, right?
No, but.
So you put the boots on, you put the gloves on, you put the suit on, you put the mask on, you put the hood on, and then the best part is they take this extremely advanced high-tech chemical tape, which is yellow duct tape that says CBRN on it, and they seal all of the openings in your suit. So like your wrists where the gloves meet, they put tape over the seals on your wrists. They put seals over the ankles on your boots. They put seals around the seal of your gas mask to the hood that you're wearing. So you're completely like hermetically sealed inside this suit, and you couldn't get out of it yourself even if you wanted to, because you're literally duct taped into this suit.
Do you wear your kit and then a gun after that too?
Yeah. So then you're going to put your vest on, like your plate carrier, your load bearing stuff on over that, and then you're going to have your rifle. And if you're lucky, you were issued a Camelback with the special adapter you need to be able to plug it into the gas mask so that you can drink water. If you're unlucky, like we were, your unit didn't issue you any of that stuff, so you couldn't drink water while you were wearing your gas mask for like 8 hours.
It's like Dune, the water's recycled.
Yes, and all the water, literally, you're just pouring, and this was in the California desert, right? So you're just pouring down sweat inside your little suit, and then you're not pouring down sweat, and that's really bad, right? So yeah, we were it was not fun. But anyway, that's what they have to do, right? And then, of course, as I mentioned, when you're done with this kind of stuff, it's not just like, oh, cool, the mission's over, everything's clear, let me just rip this stuff off. You would have a really hard time getting it off yourself because you're taped into it. So the CBRN people have to line you up. They spray you down with regular water. Then they spray you down with this special like soap disinfectant water. And then they rinse you with regular water. And then they put the disinfectant stuff on you again. And then you walk through this mister that cleans it all off. And then you're allowed to have one of them start taking your stuff off.
What if someone is having like heat exhaustion in their suit?
It's either die from chemical exposure or die from heat exhaustion. So in a training environment, obviously, we would rip them out of the suit right, to save them, which we almost had happened to a couple people in that situation. But in real life, it's like, well, you might be having heat exhaustion, but if you take your mask off, you're going to die from sarin gas. So your call, right? One interesting, awesome, fun fact that I'm sure most regular people wouldn't be aware of is that in the United States military, obviously, there's like detectors that you can use to see if there's chemicals in the air. It's either like almost like a Geiger counter kind of thing, or an actual Geiger counter if it's nuclear. There's also little test strips that come inside these bags that you can like expose it to the air, and it'll tell you if there's a chemical in it, and if so, if it's dangerous or whatever. But according to official United States Army, at least, regulation and doctrine, if you are all out of testing equipment, the official way that you determine if you are in a chemical, biological, radiological environment is by having the lowest ranking person in your unit take their mask off. So if you're the new private that just showed up at your unit and you go into a chemical situation, it's legit written in Army doctrine that in order to find out if you're in a bad situation and you're all out of the other stuff, no other options, and your platoon sergeant orders you to take your mask off and see if you die. Unfortunately, that is just how it is, right?
Don't be the weakest link.
Yeah, don't be the lowest ranking person, right? The reality to a lot of these situations, I mean, this is more personal opinion. This isn't from like some awesome knowledge that I have from Googling things or whatever. This is just personal opinion. But if you are in a situation where you're not wearing any of this stuff, let's say you have it with you, but you're not wearing it, and then some kind of chemical spill happens, like that chlorine gas thing in a civilian setting or survival setting, or God forbid, some kind of chemical weapon goes off, unless you're already wearing all this stuff, you're probably not going to survive, unfortunately. A lot of this stuff the military gives us is like a placebo, so that we're like, we'll be fine if we get chemical attack. But the reality is,
they're giving it to like 20-year-old kids.
Unless we're already wearing it when it happens, you're probably screwed. Now, there are time standards that we're supposed to be able to like put all this stuff on and everything. You're supposed to be able to do it within 30 seconds.
All of it?
Yeah. In basic training, well, it's like a minute for everything. The different MOPP levels or military, something, I can't remember that. But protective posture, military something protective posture. All the different levels correspond to different amounts of stuff either on you already or carried on your person. MOPP level, I'm not even going to say the level because I don't know if it's correct, but the first or the lowest one of the things is basically nothing. It's just wearing your normal clothing with your normal kit in a deployed environment or something. And then level 1 is having your gas mask on you, right? Level 2 is wearing like the top and bottom and having your gas mask on you. And then like level 3 and level 4 are like, or level 3 I think is having your gas mask on, the clothing on, but you're not duct taped up. And then 4 is probably like having everything on, you're duct taped up, you're completely sealed and ready to go, right? So there's different levels. And you would tailor this posture towards what you think your environment is. How that's relevant for a regular person to kind of bring this all back and hopefully end it before we're at 20 minutes is know where you live. If you live anywhere close to these big chemical facilities or plants like that, you should probably at least have a plan to like, hey, maybe I got a gas mask for my kids and stuff at home, just in case we need them. I'm not saying you got to rush out and buy all this awesome CBRN stuff. Probably not necessary for you. But even if you get a couple surplus, like you'll always find Israeli civilian masks, civilian gas masks for sale quite often now
like
at surplus stores for like $30.
Yeah.
Get one of those for each member of your family and get like 2 of these filters for them for each person just in case. And that's not a huge investment financially, but heaven forbid something happens like those poor people in Georgia, you would be infinitely better off for just having these things in your closet somewhere than if you never even considered any of this stuff before, right? You don't have to be crazy like me and carry this stuff in your car with you everywhere you go. That would be insane. Who would do that? But, you know, just something for you guys to think about, and hopefully you took something away from this.
I mean, I learned a lot because I didn't know anything about this. This is where it's hard to be a master of everything. Like, I like guns, I know gun stuff, but this is not my wheelhouse, and I would like to know more. Same thing with like radio, stuff like that. It's hard to get into all of it. That's why baby steps you just out a little bit more.
I know just enough to be dangerous to myself and on those around me. And that's about it. Yeah, so that's all I got really, unless you have any questions or anything, Ryan.
So to the average person, would you recommend just getting, like you said, the gas mask to start? And then, I mean, do you think, I mean, besides, I guess, if they live near chemical plants, do you think the average person needs this stuff?
Nah, not really. Again, it's just so situationally dependent. There's so many different factors that go into it.
Yeah.
But I would say, on the whole, your average American is never going to be in a situation where they have to put a MOPP suit on, right? Even during situations of like civil unrest, the most you're going to be exposed to is like tear gas. You guys hear CS gas? We call it in the military, right? Which doesn't kill you. It just makes you like weep, and all the snot in your entire body will pour out of your nose. Your skin will itch and feel hot, but it won't kill you, right? Yeah. That's the most that your average American could reasonably be expected to be exposed to. Now, obviously, the situation can change based on, you know, the environment that you find yourself in, but I would say that every American, or every responsible American citizen, should have a gas mask, or especially like for your family, your kids and stuff like that. But you don't need to rush out and buy like sealed military CBRN suits and giant overboots and stuff. If anything, just some really good quality rubber gloves and a gas mask, and that would do you in most of the situations you'd find yourself in.
All right, so my question is, let's say you don't have any of this stuff. You know some gas leak or spill or whatever happened near you. In my head, since I don't have this, if I just like, I have like the schmog, you know, like a headscarf. If you just wrap your face up as best you can, rush to your car, holding your breath, get in your car and drive away without the air on.
Yeah. So tear gas, for example, which is something that's pretty common. If you don't breathe it in, you're good. Mm-hmm. I have walked through a cloud of tear gas before, not knowing that it was tear gas. I just thought it was white smoke. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize it was tear gas until I took a deep breath. And then
I've been near pepper spray. Right? So we had a friend, he pepper sprayed outside, but then walked in the building. Oh, yeah. Dude, it followed him. And I was coughing for like 2 hours.
So that's bad, right? CS gas and tear gas is like times 10 over that. Like literally every pore in your body's like screaming, and all the snot you've ever had in your whole body's like pouring out of your nose, and saliva's coming out of your mouth and everything. It's really gross, and you're sweating bullets and everything. It's really gross. But if you don't breathe it in, you'll be okay. It'll still irritate your skin, but you won't get the coughing and stuff effects of it as long as you're not inhaling that kind of stuff. So yeah, I kind of, you know, it sucks, and I'm not going to tell you to do this, but again, peeing on a schmog and putting it over your face in a real dangerous kind of gas situation is better if you have nothing else, of course. That's really kind of the only option, because you need something on that mask that will absorb the chemicals, and the only thing most people will have on their body that would help with that is the ammonia in urine.
No.
I'm not going to be all Bear Grylls and be like, I drink my own pee because I like it, it's sterile and I like the taste. Like, no, that's really weird. Hopefully you never have to do that.
Yeah.
It's just kind of the only thing. But like you mentioned in the car, yeah, if you're in your car and you have to like pass, let's say there's a riot or something, you know, and you're like, oh, I just want to get home. And you have to pass through areas with this kind of gas. Turn your air conditioning off, make sure all your windows are rolled up and everything's sealed. You have like no air running whatsoever in the car. It's not foolproof, but it'll be pretty good. You'll be fine if you're just like speeding through a cloud to get on the other side of it.
I have to do that when I drive past the dump.
Yeah, exactly. The smells is coming. But they were kind of similar to smell. So yeah, if you turn everything off, and then also in your house, I'll just finish briefly then so people know, if there is some kind of big thing in your house, whether it's nuclear or chemical, you want to go and take like wet towels and stuff them under the doors to make sure that all the seals are in there. You turn your air conditioning off. If possible, you want to block the vents inside your house with like wet cloths or some kind of non-permeable material like plastic, and block them off.
Most of these people probably need to change their air filters anyway.
Yeah, you change your air filters, yeah, right? But if you do that, you can stay in that house without dying from carbon monoxide poisoning for a couple days to like then check if everything's good on the outside. So yeah, if there's some crazy things happening in your neighborhood where they're throwing CS gas and stuff, I would turn your AC off, and then, you know, seal up any big openings in your house that you can with wet towels would be good, or duct tape.
Cool. Duct tape fixes everything.
Sweet. Absolutely.
Cool. Well, thank you for all the information.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guys, thank Mason. He's world of knowledge, and I like having him on the channel. We're going to have other future videos coming up here soon, so stay tuned for those. And thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Mason, for being on.
Yeah, happy to help.